it's just an example. Purdue losing to Fresno State is okay. We can still win the Big Ten West. For me,
Billy Napier gets fired. I'm just kidding.
really the best time of the year. I will be seated watching the Red Zone for 7 hours on Sunday. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to an episode of Backyard Banter. Johnny, James, Tanner. Another episode, another big weekend in college football, another big weekend in the NFL to the dismay of Tanner and James. As we're recording this, the Bucs have not lost again yet, but they will tonight. But as we say that, we have gotten a lot more clarity, at least on the Big Ten race in college football. Ohio State went into Penn State. It was a great game if you're an Ohio State fan. Penn State could not win the big one again. But, I mean, James, we'll start with you. That was the biggest game in college football this weekend. What was your biggest takeaway from that game?
Just pure dominance, right? Like Ohio State just went in there and just said, like, we're just better than you at all levels. And, like, when you look at – it's one of those college football games where you look at the final score and you're like, okay, that must have been a really, really good game. And it was, like, borderline not even a fantastic football game. Like, Ohio State was just the better team on that field. And I thought the issue for Penn State was going to be their offense. Their offense was awful. Borderline just – I mean, it's just not a top 10 team in the country with that kind of offense. And you look at Ohio State, they kind of got their run game going, right? Not to the level that we know it can be at, right? But it was good enough. They established it early. They're just so good on offense, and I think they are just one of the better teams in the country. But Penn State kind of showed the flaw that they have. James Franklin, I would say a lot of inappropriate things on here, but the guy's just a loser. Like, I've never met him. He has a great first name, but, like, he's just soft. Like, there's a lot of people on this podcast today that I'm going to call soft, and just, like, he's one of them. He's just soft, right? Like, I understand you want to get in an argument with a student after the game. Yeah, I wasn't there. I don't understand what happened, but you know what, James? You have a job. Go win a football game, right? That's your job, because you know what? You could say you won the big one earlier in the year. No, it wasn't anything. This was the game to establish yourself as a team that can fight for a national championship. And you know what? This team, there is a 2% chance that Penn State is capable of winning a national championship. And that's just my honest takeaway from that game. I'm a little curious. I think Teaser was the only one who picked Penn State to win this game. Excited to see what he thought of it based off of his original take. But just pure dominance by the Buckeyes, I think it really was. The score doesn't really show how much they dominated this football game.
Yeah, I would totally disagree. I think Penn State Penn State, like I think you mentioned in our group chat that Penn State had a couple lucky breaks go their way. They had a couple unlucky breaks not go their way. So, like, you take a look at that interception at the end of the half, like, that's a pretty fluky play right there.
Unbelievable play. I mean, that was an unreal play.
I mean, there's just nothing. I mean, sure, I guess you could catch the ball, but you're looking at least 3 points. I mean, you're looking at least 3 points there if that's not an interception. But I mean, and then the play calling on the goal to go situation late in the game in the fourth quarter. So I take a look at this game and I see missed opportunities by Penn State. I don't think that Ohio State was necessarily this unbelievable football team that was way better than Penn State. I thought it was actually kind of an even playing field, and at the end of the day, Ohio State executed a little bit better than Penn State did. I don't think either team really executed great all day, to be honest. But my takeaway from this game is that neither of them are going to win a national championship. I would agree with you. I don't think Ohio State can. I think Will Howard makes too many costly mistakes. We saw it with the fumble in the end zone. We saw it with the pick six early in the game. He's not going to get away with that in the playoff. That's not going to happen. And Penn State, sure, like I just said, they kind of were on an even playing field with Ohio State, but I don't think Ohio State can win the Natty, and I surely don't think Penn State can, because Drew Aller is not much better than what Will Howard is. So I don't know. I was disappointed. I was hoping for more high scoring. I figured it would be low scoring, but just one of those ugly football games. Like, when you think Big Ten football, that's kind of the game you think of, and unfortunately, the Big Ten right now is painted as this conference that's going to play ugly football and defense, turnovers, and not very high scoring. So that was kind of my takeaway from the game.
Yeah, Tim, I agree with you to an extent about the ceilings of these teams. And if this was a normal year, if this was any of the past 5 years, I'd agree with you. But there's not one dominant team in college football this year. So any team can get hot and go on a run. Will Howard could not look like a buffoon for 4 games, and they could go on a run because I still think Ohio State's the most talented team in the country. With that being said, the thing that impressed me most about Ohio State was their resiliency. I mean, you spot them 10 points, 111,000 people are there, the largest crowd ever at Beaver Stadium. I mean, that's pretty incredible in itself. And you spot them 10 points, and you go and respond. And the guy that was playing left tackle, bless his heart, he's going to be a top 2 round guy at guard. He said, "I'll go out to tackle. I'll go play." And Abdul Carter is a different kind of alien. He's going to be a top 15 pick for a reason. And they were like, "You have no help most of the time. We're not chipping. You were by yourself." And he held up basically as well as you can. So the resiliency really stood out to me. And, for Penn State, like, what are we going to do with them? Like, look, they're still a top 10 team, but we need to not overrate Penn State because winning 10 games every year like James Franklin does, that's an accomplishment itself. Only losing to literally Michigan and Ohio State and nobody else is what Penn State is. They're right now, I'm not talking about all time. Right now, they're not an elite program. They're a really good program, and a really good program is going to get you the 9 seed in the playoffs. And you might win a game, and you'll lose in the next round. And, as a Gator fan, I would be more than happy with that. But, they feast on the bottom of the Big Ten. They beat who they're supposed to be, and they don't lose to anyone they're not supposed to lose to. There's a reason why they're 3.5-point favorites. 3.5-point favorites at a neutral field means they're on a home field means they're about a 7-point dog on a neutral field. To kind of show that gap is pretty wide. But, yeah, I mean, I said before the game, if Ohio State runs the ball for 4 yards a carry, they're going to win the game. And they ran it for more than that. Quinshon Judkins had a few really big runs. And there was not a running back I would pick over Henderson. I mean, the way he pass blocks is inspiring. The lead block he had on Will Howard's fumble out of the end zone had me ready to go play for Ohio State. I mean, that was freaking poetic. That was football right there. But I mean, the game literally came down. Penn State, 3 red zone trips, 3 points. You don't beat Ohio State like that. They didn't score an offensive touchdown. You can't beat Ohio State like that. They're still too talented. And if Ohio State gets healthy on the offensive line, I 100% still think they can win a national championship. But, Will Howard, I mean, that first pick, I don't even know what he's looking at. Like, it was a great play. They were in zone. The guy came off his zone, or they're too high, so they're playing man underneath. The guy came off his man and made a great play. But he started that break before the ball left Will Howard's hand. So, it's tough, but at the end of the game, man, who the ball go to? It went to Will Howard, and he got 2 huge yards with his legs. The 2 things that stuck out to me is Penn State had first and goal at the 3 and ran the ball 3 times for 1 yard, and they didn't get anything. And Ohio State got the ball on the 1 yard line and ran the ball every single time and ran out the game. I'm old school. That freaking fires me up. If you can run the ball and end the game like that, that is awesome. And that's the mentality of a champion, right? And then for Penn State, they got 2 beasts at running back, Allen and Singleton. Their 2 highest rushers was a quarterback and a tight end. That is a problem. That is a problem. And their highest receiver was a running back. Penn State doesn't have difference makers on the outside, and frankly, they don't have a difference maker at quarterback either. Drew Aller's a really nice player. He's not a difference maker. So, my takeaway is Ohio State can win a national championship, I still think, because I don't think there's a dominant team. I mean, Oregon struggled with the 2 teams from Idaho. So I understand they're really good right now. So, but, they're feasting like Penn State does on the weakness of the Big Ten. And Penn State, I mean, how long are you going to be content for just not winning a national championship, but winning double-digit games almost every year? And that's a problem that only had a few programs, because I know all 3 of our schools right now, besides Notre Dame, but I was referencing Illinois. We would love to have a 10-win season and be an 8 seed in the playoffs, right? But so those are my kind of big takeaways. But I do want to say we get a lot of crap for being wrong. One very handsome analyst said that South Carolina was going to beat Texas A&M. So I do want to shout him out. I don't know who he is, but I don't know either. Very smart. Rumor has a nose ball.
I don't like to play hypotheticals here, but if DJ Lagway doesn't get hurt, I think Florida beats Georgia.
They 100% do. And I didn't know if you guys wanted to get into that, but I will say.
That's all I wanted to say. I also heard there was a guy in Jacksonville, Illinois, who actually put coin on South Carolina. I heard that. When
There
I
you go.
was
You
looking
put, at
at
least
it,
you put money where his mouth is. Thankfully, no one knows where Jacksonville, Illinois is. So,
no, I don't even really know. So I'm just here.
but to talk about Florida for literally 2 seconds, it is very inspiring to see that guys are still playing hard for Billy Napier. Like they literally said in the press conference today, we're playing hard for Napier, and that's inspiring stuff. That I don't like saying should-haves, but they would have beat Georgia if Lagway stayed healthy. I mean, with a walk-on from Yale, they tied the game with 5 minutes left. I mean, that is incredible grit from the Gators, and it was really inspiring to see. Good news on Lagway. I don't know if you guys saw this. I was tuned in live to Napier's presser. I was locked in, and they said it wasn't as serious as they thought, which means his hamstring isn't torn, which is very good. So I mean, they didn't even roll him out against Texas this week. I don't think he'll play this weekend, but that means against LSU, Ole Miss, and FSU. I mean, you got a really good shot of winning 2 of those because you get 2 of those at home, and then you go to Tallahassee, which you might as well be playing at a high school nowadays because no one shows up to their games. So out of hope, Mama Shields was fired up talking to me on the phone the other day. It's like, why does Florida State suck? What is going on? I was like,
hey, they're going to beat Notre Dame this week. I know that. So.
I don't know. Watching Florida State, I told my mom I can't even watch them. I mean, it's I love football, but watching the Florida State Duke game from 2 weeks ago, I was like, I'm not watching Florida State the rest.
It's got to be one of the most historical just differences from one year to the next, and let's not act like Florida State just sure, they lost a lot, right? But they didn't lose enough to be this terrible. Yeah. What? I mean, whatever.
Regardless,
I have a really good idea. We should have Florida State and Purdue play each other and have it be called the Toilet Bowl, and the winner gets a toilet trophy to just put in their lap.
I like that.
And then the winner gets Florida to see who the real.
Here's the thing: Florida State low key runs Purdue.
No,
they run Purdue, dude.
Oh, Tanner, how about your boy Jeff Braun? I was thinking today, if Florida were to fire Napier, I want him to go get freaking Jeff Braun. Guy's just a winner. I mean, if you win at Purdue and Louisville, I mean, you know what you're doing. No offense.
Here's the thing with Jeff Braun, and here's how it was at Purdue. He would beat Ohio State, right, or Michigan State, and then he would turn around and lose to the worst Iowa team you've seen in 10 years, or the worst Wisconsin team you've seen in 10 years. So, he always loses a game he shouldn't, and he wins a game he shouldn't. But I tell you what, he can win a big game. If he can ever find out how to not lose to teams that are far worse than him, he can win the big games.
I mean, they handled Clemson.
That's a Purdue thing, dude.
And on top of it,
you go to Purdue and you just can't beat the team you're supposed to.
Sorry, on top of it, his offense is really fun to watch.
Yeah.
He throws the ball 50, 60 times.
It's an air raid.
And they go no huddle and they score 40 points. It's so much fun. I
personally think that Jeff Braun should get a Nobel Peace Prize for taking Purdue to the Big Ten championship. I mean that is incredible. If you see how bad down bad.
In terms of success in football, obviously you don't really look at this year, but in terms of success across the Big Ten in football and basketball, the last 5 years, Purdue's got to be up there. I mean, they got a couple Big Ten championships in basketball. They made the big game in football. They didn't win it, but they made it.
They made it. They scored. I wouldn't even score last year.
That's right.
But one more thing about Florida State before we get to your rankings, James. In the era of NIL in the portal, you cannot solely depend on the portal. It's literally boom or bust. You're seeing it with Florida State right now. They got all these amazing guys out of the portal last year. You know who they didn't get out of the portal? Jordan Travis. And he was the mainstay of that team last year. This year, they get a bunch of guys out of the portal. And I don't care. It makes me mad when you're Florida State, Miami, or Florida, because you should never be bad at football. Because if you just put a wall around the state of Florida, you can be competent and win 8-9 games. You could go to legitimately just Pinellas and Hillsborough County and go win 6 games just recruiting those areas. That's not even counting Miami-Dade, Daytona Beach, Jacksonville, and the Panhandle. So it should never be possible. That's why when I see the top 50 athletes in Florida, players in Florida right now, and only 4 are going to Florida schools, that is a travesty. And that's why Alabama was good for so many years. Guess where Derrick Henry went to school? It's from Florida. That's why Georgia is so good. That's why Clemson was so good. That's why Ohio State's good. So that's the biggest problem right now. A school like Florida State, you should never be 1-7. The tradition is too good and all that stuff. But we said we never talk about Florida State again. But got to give Mama her due. But James, feed us your rankings, and James, I'll explain it for you. James did his rankings this week, as the committee is going to do tomorrow. So he gave us his top 12. The committee will give us the top 25.
Before I pop it up here, I have to preference a few things. One, this is what I would do. Okay. This is my top 4 are clearly the conference winners, right? That's what it is. I don't have BYU in the top 4. Like, I just have them as winning a conference. Second of all, imagine a world where the number 8 team in the country and the number 9 team in the country, they don't play, right? They don't play that given week. Somehow, that 8 team moves down to 10 when the 9 team stays there. And that's what happened this week for Notre Dame and BYU. Notre Dame moved down to 10 in the AP poll, even though they didn't play.
Don't get me started on the AP poll.
BYU somehow ahead of Notre Dame, even though they were behind them, and both teams did not play. The AP poll, burn it, blow it up, get rid of it. But here we go.
It doesn't matter anymore. I can't believe we should freaking crown a national championship off that before
right?
the BCS.
Let me see if I can.
But look, it's going to be really interesting to see how they rank teams.
Here we go. Okay. I'm excited. You guys are going to argue. I'm ready for it.
Real quick, James, give your spiel again about why the top 4 is the top 4.
So top 4 are clearly your 4 conference winners. I have Georgia winning the SEC. I have Ohio State winning the Big Ten. I have Miami now beating the ACC. Tanner, I'm hopping on that train with you. We can do this virtually if you want. We can do whatever. I got the Cougs winning the Big 12. I've been on them. We're gonna stay on them. So those 4, and then 12 Boise State. Obviously, they got things rolling. This is the first real game where I was able to watch them play on Friday night, like thoroughly, because it was the only thing on. They're fun to watch. I mean, they really are. So anyway, we go into 5. 5 and 6 are simply how I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be the runner-up in the Big Ten, and I think it's going to be the runner-up in the SEC. Therefore, I have Oregon at 5, and I have Texas at 6. From here on out, I was confused. I didn't know what to do. This is when I just went to my gut, what I think these teams in order have the best chance to win a national championship based off of their current season. Indiana, I had to throw them in there because they're 9-0, and what an incredible win. But we go to Tennessee. They obviously have a signature win. They're at 7. The SEC's kind of shaking out to still be kind of a weird conference. Like, who's going to be in that title game? I think it's really exciting. I believe Texas and A&M play obviously the last week of the year. That's going to be a huge game, obviously for conference implications. Big word. So Notre Dame at 8. I think Notre Dame is going to go 11-1 if they play the right cards. I think on 11-1 Notre Dame team, I'm confident. Like Johnny said, I was locked in on Marcus Freeman's press conference this morning. He just fires me up every time he takes the mic. The only time I've ever really, I did listen to the Notre Dame NIU press conference, and that was brutal. That was the only time I really didn't like it. But I have Notre Dame at 8. I know you guys might not agree with that, but I just think an 11-1 Notre Dame team, obviously if they take care of business, which I think they're more than capable to. Riley Leonard's really kind of shaping up to be that transfer quarterback that we wanted him to be. So we'll see. I got Notre Dame going 11-1. It is what it is. Indiana, they're going to most likely probably be 11-1. So you have to put them in a boat race to Michigan State. Like, what an incredible win. Talk about an offense that's just explosive. This is really like cool to see a team like this in the Big Ten. I mean, how many times have we thought about Indiana football? Like, it doesn't happen. Like, they used to be the laughing stock of the Big Ten, and now they're 9-0 and they're sitting comfortably. Then you got Alabama. They're gonna go probably 10-2. They should, and you have to put them in. They have to put them in the playoff. I think it'd be a crime if you don't, and so therefore they're at 10. Tanner, I'm ready for him to just blow up on me here. We got Penn State at 11. They simply cannot win a national championship. But because of the fact that they're going to go 11-1, because congratulations, you play Washington, Purdue.
Yeah, they play Purdue. Put some respect on Purdue.
I'm just saying who they play, and it's like, dude, they play Minnesota at Minnesota. I'll say it 3 weeks in advance. Minnesota's going to win that football game. Like, so whatever. And you know what? Even if they don't, they're still 11-1, and they're still sitting at 11. So I'm really excited to see what you guys think. I feel like we're not going to have. I mean, obviously, if you think Oregon's going to beat Ohio State, then we'll disagree on that. But I feel like 1 through 6 we might agree, but then 7 through 11 is tricky. I think it really is tricky. That's why I think we're all super amped up to see what they do tomorrow, because who knows which way the committee's going to go with this. So, Johnny, you go first because I feel like you'll be a little nicer to me, and then Tanner, go ahead and give me a spiel.
Yeah, I agree with the top six. I think you rank the top six very nicely. And again, for the people at home that are really confused by BYU's number 4, and they were like 11 last week, James poll, the top 4 seeds are the 4 highest ranked conference champions, and they all get buys, and the rest is ranking. So if this was actual ranking, it would probably be Georgia 1, Oregon 2, Ohio State, whatever you want to do. These are
now Cougs are probably like 5.
so you know what I mean. So that's why it looks like that. For me personally, I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with Ole Miss and LSU, the 2 lost SEC teams in general, A&M as well. You can throw them into that because if Indiana goes 11-1 and LSU goes 10-2, LSU is going to be in over Indiana. Yeah. Same with Texas A&M. So it's going to be really interesting to see. That's what I'm most looking at when it eventually comes to that time. How are they going to handle a 1-loss Indiana that frankly lost their only game of relevance, even though they beat every team that they played on their schedule by like 14 plus points or whatever the number is. With that being said, I agree with it, but I'm really interested in what they're going to see with the 2 lost SEC teams, specifically Ole Miss, because right now I think Ole Miss is the most underrated team in the country. Ole Miss hung $500 million on Arkansas, same Arkansas team that beat Tennessee. Let's not forget that. So I think they'll end up putting Penn State at 8 and just bump everyone down 1. I think they'll go 7 Tennessee, 8 Penn State, 9 Notre Dame, Indiana, Alabama. And then if they do put Boise there, that's fine. And then after that, it's probably going to look something like LSU or A&M since they beat them, LSU, and then so on and so forth. But again, I'll keep saying it. The most important thing that's happening tomorrow is the college football rankings coming released. Nothing.
Well, some would say the election. I feel like that's definitely a big important thing in terms of just everything. But I agree. I'm more inspired to turn on ESPN and whatever it's probably on CBS or whatever. I don't know.
I think it's on every major network, but
yeah, probably. Go ahead, T. Come on, give it to me.
Yeah, I don't understand why Penn State is down to 11. Their only loss is to your number 2 team in the country.
Yeah.
They're not like the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana played Western Illinois, FIU, and Mickey Mouse State in the non-conference, and they really haven't played anybody. So congrats, I guess. We're not going to value Penn State at least playing a team like West Virginia, going and winning at USC, at least a little bit in that regard. But
I did. They're in the playoff.
I don't understand how Penn State is 11. I don't understand how they're not ahead of at least Notre Dame or Indiana or Alabama.
Notre Dame
but it is what it is. A takeaway for me, I'm a little bit shocked you don't have Oregon ahead of Ohio State for the time being. I could see that happening, but
yep.
I have a big takeaway, and it's we have 2 rematches in the exact same setting with this. Because you got Bama going back to Neyland, and you got Boise State going back to Autzen Stadium. And actually something that I think is very possible that could potentially happen here is I'm hoping the Big 12, like BYU, can drop a game before the Big 12 title game, and then no matter what really happens in the Big 12 title game, say BYU loses to somebody with 2 losses, I want to see Boise State get that 4 seed. Yeah. Boise State could go win the Mountain West and get that 4 seed realistically, and good for them. I want to see them get that. They deserve that more than a Big 12 team. The Big 12 is a joke. And Boise State at least has Ashton Genty and the Smurf turf, so I'd rather see Boise State get that home game. But yeah, I mean, I think Indiana, obviously there's a little bias there. I think they're going to struggle with Michigan this week, and then they go play Ohio State. If they can't beat Michigan this week and they lose to Ohio State, they're not getting in at 10-2. They simply haven't beaten anybody good enough. They played one of the worst, weakest non-conference schedules I've ever seen. I mean, an SEC non-conference schedule by Indiana playing absolutely nobody. But the difference is they aren't playing teams in the South. They're playing FCS teams in the Midwest. So, I don't hate it aside from Penn State being so low.
and the one thing about it is, and there's a few takeaways from what you were saying, T, is like it is harsh. It is very harsh for me to put Penn State at 11. I knew as soon as I did it, if say this gets clipped and it goes on YouTube, I know it's going to get absolutely pooped on in the comments. Like I shouldn't falter them for losing to a team that I think can win a national championship by 7. I can't trust James Franklin. I can't trust that offense to even compete for a national championship. And so here's the thing. I understand. I can respect it. I was ready for it. So that, and then you look at Indiana. Indiana's a team that, of course, they don't have a good non-con. Like they've sucked. They've been so bad. Who's like, yeah, let me go schedule Indiana. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's just one of those teams that I feel like if they have a few good years, I mean, you're not gonna see the whoever they played, Western, whatever. I don't even know who they played. But I understand what you were saying, and then what Johnny said. I do agree with that stance that I do think Notre Dame will eventually. I do think Notre Dame tomorrow will be 9. I do think so. But we'll see. In a world where the Big 12 champion is not, number 4 but number 12, like that would be interesting, right? I don't think anybody really saw that extra conference, right? The fifth conference winner ever taking a top 4 seed, but I mean, I'm for it, right? Like give Boise State a bye, right? Let's see that turf field on national TV.
Well, they would be playing in a New Year's Six, but yeah, a neutral site game, unfortunately. But it's going to be really the Big 12. Their 2 main contenders lost yesterday. Iowa State and Kansas State both lost on Saturday. So that basically says unless BYU ends the season undefeated, which they very well could, Big 12 is only getting 1 team in, and the ACC is only getting probably 1 team in unless SMU loses down the stretch.
Don't sleep on SMU. I will say that. Don't sleep.
Yeah, they did beat the brakes off Pitt, but unless SMU loses one of their games down the stretch and Clemson gets in and beats Miami, the Miami's in regardless. But I don't hate it. But yeah, good job, James. I think this was your.
The other thing to that is if SMU beats Miami, right, in the
that's also
championship. Like, and here's the thing. SMU very well could. I've watched way too much SMU football this year. It's possible. I mean, it's possible that SMU could beat the Hurricanes, especially with the Hurricanes football that has kind of been up and down. But
yeah, no, they're the craziest. They're the craziest team college football. I do want to say one to your point, Tanner. You brought up schedules. If you're Florida, why are you playing Miami? It obviously doesn't matter if Indiana is going to be in 11-1 and play the whatever school, an atrocious school, FCS Midwest as they are in college football, wherever they are, and it makes no sense. Why would you? Florida plays Notre Dame, I think, like 2027, 2028. Why would you play Notre Dame? It makes no sense. You're going to play 10 or 5 top 10 teams in the SEC, and that goes for anyone. Same for Mississippi State or LSU. Or if you're LSU, why would you go play USC in the opening week? Why wouldn't you go play Maine like Oklahoma did yesterday? It's just that's eventually going to become. It's the same reason why Wake canceled their series with Ole Miss next year. It's going to keep happening because people don't want to get
conference games.
Yeah, that might end up happening, but people don't want to have these L's on their schedule, and I can't blame them. I mean, if it is going to be just exactly what your record is and not going to take strength of schedule into account, that's on. Indiana is a fantastic story. They've won 7 games combined in like 2020, 2022, and 2023 combined, and they're 9 games combined in that time. They're 9-0 now, so or whatever they are, 7-0 now, 8-0 now. So. Anyway,
one more thing, and as we get into today, the greatest day for college football or college basketball fans is, I think this 12-team playoff bracket and like the chaos of this year, like someone's gonna get snubbed, right? That's a fact. A good team's gonna get snubbed, right? This shows how perfect the college basketball bracket is because nobody's getting snubbed. Right, really, nobody. I mean, yeah, it happens, right? The 10 seeds in ACC.
That team's not going to win national championship,
but they're not going to win national championship, right? That's a fact. And so I think this shows how perfect the college basketball March Madness bracket is because it gives everyone. I complain every year when Illinois is a certain seed, right? But at least they have an opportunity to go fight and win. Whereas you obviously clearly can't do that for football unless we play 1/4 games, like to decide who's the 64 seed or whatnot. But yeah, I think it does show the clarity of how good that bracket is, so don't touch it. So
Yeah, very true. I saw they might expand to like 94 or whatever. Do not touch college football bracket or college basketball bracket. But we'll briefly talk about the NFL because frankly, none of us really want to talk about the NFL. Mostly because the Bears are in shambles. I knew Tanner and James were very angry yesterday, so of course I poked the bear, and the Bears somehow find out. And I'm starting with this because frankly, I think this is the biggest story in the NFL besides the Ravens dismantling the Broncos and Saquon jumping over someone backwards. I saw the highlight live and I was like, that is one of the craziest highlights I've ever seen. And with the Bears, they literally every week they find to do something that blows your mind. Whether it's the Hail Mary or allowing a 55-yard touchdown run with 13 seconds left in the half. And Tanner said in the preseason the Bears can win a Super Bowl. And they have all the pieces. And they do have all the pieces besides any semblance of an offensive line outside of like one tackle position maybe. And he asked, why won't they? And I said, because Matt Eberflus will not ever be the head coach of a Super Bowl winning team. And that is no more apparent than it is right now. And I think, frankly, it's a disservice to their roster. I think that they should have fired him last year. He's a very good defensive coordinator. What was the stat? That was the first time. Last game was the first time all year they allowed more than 21 points. But you're not paying him to be a defense coordinator. You're paying him to be a head coach. And, he's not a very good head coach. And he's ruining a team that should win 9 or 10 games. But I do want to say, the Bears took advantage, as they should, as a very advantageous stretch of their schedule to get to where they were. And I think they get the Patriots this week, right? If I'm not mistaken. So they're going to win that game. But when you're in the NFC North and you have the three teams above them, the Bears are a mediocre team, and that's okay for right now because they have the building blocks in the next 2 years to be an elite team. But I never truly thought of them as an elite team, and I don't even think the Cardinals are an elite team, but the Cardinals look very elite yesterday. So what are your guys' thoughts if you even want to get?
I think Matt Eberflus is ugly. I think he's dumb. I think he needs fired. I think he needs to go on Indeed.com. I think he needs to sell his house on the lakefront. I think Matt Eberflus is the worst human being in the world. There's no one worse than him.
Really?
I can't stand Matt Eberflus. I think he's an absolute idiot. He has lost the locker room deservedly so. I don't blame the players for basically giving up on him. At the end of the day, it's not Matt Eberflus's fault. Ryan Poles was the one that decided to bring him back last January for another year. And, it's who knows if that was even his decision. I think part of it is the McCaskey family. James, I know you know George a little bit, but until this family stays miles and miles away from this franchise, they're not going to be successful. They're the most incompetent owners in the NFL. The only reason they are relevant is because their grandfather created the NFL a year ago. They have no clue what they're doing now in the year 2024. I think they're the most Jerry Jones is up there, but it's terrible. The ownership, it's very, very bad. And until they get rid of the Bears, it's going to be the same thing every Sunday. It's going to be getting kicked in the nuts and you can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. Year after year, week after week, you just get kicked in the balls, and it hurts every time, and it sucks, and I hate it. That's the end.
I mean, you're 100% right.
I will say, and someone can tell me if I was wrong when I was reading it. I'm pretty good at reading, and I think I saw that Matt Eberflus is now 3-18 on road games since 2022, and
I haven't won a Sunday road game since what?
3 wins are on, I guess, Thursdays or Mondays. Yeah. So here's the thing about the Bears. I have the last 2 years. I had the pleasure of living with Tanner Starrett. Okay, and it was a pleasure, right? And we would wake up every Sunday and we'd watch the Bears, right? That was just what we did, and we watched the game beginning to end, no matter what. Yesterday was the first time that I've turned the Bears game off after the third quarter. I've never done that. But you know what? They're soft. The Bears are soft. Every single one of them. God, we could have a Bears podcast. I mean, the frustrating thing right now is they decided to do a middle school detention to Stevenson. It doesn't work in the NFL. It doesn't work at that level. I don't care if he cost you the game or not. Don't bench him for don't not start him. He's still making the same amount of money. He's not out anything when he doesn't play. The Bears are out when he doesn't play. Stevenson's good enough. He needs to start. Yeah, doesn't matter. Clearly doesn't matter. Matt Eberflus is an idiot. Shane Waldron is an idiot. Shane Waldron, I've said it. I said it. When did we just get a big win? When Cole Kmet went crazy. I don't remember. It was several weeks ago. And I said the key to the Bears is getting Cole Kmet involved because we have a very, very good tight end. Cole Kmet is a very good tight end in this league. Like, he had 0 targets. Like, what are we doing? You know why? I've never once been an offensive coordinator. I've called plays in Madden. I've called plays at middle school recess because I was in private school. So yes, we had recess, and I was out there on the grass calling plays because of course I was QB1. So I was telling the receivers what to do. I would never tell my tight end to always just stand on the sideline. Cole Kmet's never involved in the middle of the field. It doesn't make any sense to me. Cole Kmet is literally standing 7 yards off the line of scrimmage on the sideline, and he wants the ball to be passed to him. Cole Kmet is a weapon. When you think of the Bears, you think of DJ Moore, Robin Dunze, Keenan Allen. He's ass. Sorry. Keenan Allen's awful, right? Cole Kmet is a weapon. Use him. For God's sake, use him. He is a very good tight end in this NFL league. But you know what? They're all soft. Every single one of them. DJ Moore doesn't look like he's even running his routes with any kind of...
I was going to say, DJ Moore is the softest one out of all of them.
They're all soft. You know who's not soft? It's crazy to say this because I thought his one issue in the NFL was going to be that he's soft. Caleb Williams is gritty. That guy's a player. Like, that guy is a competitor. He does want to succeed for the city of Chicago. You can tell that. You can feel that. But at the end of the day, what is he supposed to do? Like, the guys aren't getting breaks. He's got a guy in his face like 2 seconds after he snaps the ball. Darnell Wright has a sprained MCL, so that'll be great. The Patriots are going to get home on us. So it is so frustrating to be a Bears fan. I turned the game off. But the fact, I was really waiting for it because you know what? The Saints fired their coach yesterday. You know why? Because he faltered. He looked like an idiot. He made the city of New Orleans look stupid. And you know what Matt Eberflus did on Sunday? He made the city of Chicago look stupid. Therefore, he deserves to be fired. Like, that is the simplest. I've never met him. Sure, he seems like a very nice guy. Seems like a guy I'd love to go get drinks with.
No, he doesn't. He sucks at his job.
Well, he does. He does suck at his job. So Shane Waldron, if you're scrolling on TikTok and you see this, you need to get better. You need to get Cole Kmet involved. It's so simple. And if not, do I want the Bears to beat the Patriots? Of course. But maybe if he loses, they'll actually fire him. And then what? Then who knows? But I'm so sick and tired of it. It's so frustrating. We're 4-4. You can kiss the division. Bye-bye. So that's gone. And we have the Patriots up next, and we move forward, and then we're going to go beat the Green Bay Packers, and we're still probably going to win the Super Bowl. But, it's just so frustrating, man, that, I got a tweet on my phone, and it said Matt Eberflus, and it was him talking about his press conference. And I said, oh, great. We gave him another week. So what are we going to do besides cry? Tanner and Johnny were literally fighting over the phone yesterday. I thought we were going to never have another episode of Backyard Banter. It was a terrible day. It was.
I knew James was in a bad mood because I'm like, I immediately texted in the group chat. I'm like, the Bears are so awful. They found a new week to use. And Tanner's like, not now. I'm not in the mood. Not now. And James goes, Johnny, all your teams suck. And I said,
they do.
I said, I've never said that they didn't suck, but the Bears are a different kind of suck. And when I look, my perfect example is the Bucs. The last 2 years, the Bucs have had to get a new offense coordinator. Dave Canales did a good job, well enough to go get a freaking head coaching job. Oh, and by the way, this guy said the Saints were going to finish last in the NFC South, and I stood to that point when they started the year 2-0. The Saints are awful, and I saw this coming from a mile away. The only coach that was worse than freaking Matt Eberflus in the NFL was Dennis Allen, and now he's gone. So you see where that leaves him. But
he'll be the next Bears coach, probably. I mean, that's just what we'll do. But
back-to-back years, the Bucs have went and hired an above-average offense coordinator. Luke Geddes just got fired from the Raiders too. So I don't even know how we got another job. First of all,
and I didn't even realize he was on the Raiders.
Yeah, he was our offense coordinator. No wonder why our guy, the freaking Purdue quarterback, wasn't getting any stardom. And I see that from the Bucks. And Todd Bowles isn't a world beater at head coach, but you have back-to-back flops at the offensive coordinator position. And if I'm Ryan Poles, if I for somehow keep my job next year, you're a freaking offensive tackle. I'd legitimately go get 4 new offensive linemen. You don't go pay DJ Moore $101 million. He is so soft. Like DJ Moore is turning into one of my least favorite receivers in the NFL. The way he acts at his press conferences, the way he doesn't run routes, the way he walks off the field in the middle, like that is atrocious. That's the guy you give $100 million to. And then you have lawn chairs trying to block for Caleb Williams. Every single time I watch Caleb Williams, he is scrambling with 3 guys ready to jump on him. It is egregious. I'm angry for you guys seeing all this because, frankly, the Bears should be 6-2, going to 7-2, beating the Patriots this weekend. So, look, I know Tanner has to go, so we'll wrap it soon. But yeah, you guys got me fired up about the Bears, and I don't even give a damn about the Bears.
Oh, just wait. If we drop to the Patriots, good God.
Well,
Good
we'll
God.
have the Bears podcast.
I mean, the Bears are the new Chicago Cubs. I'm never gonna see it ever happen in my life, ever.
Hey, but you saw the Cubs.
Yeah, sure. They're still
It's
the
the
Cubs.
city of Chicago, man. It's where dreams go to die. Like the Bulls. The Bulls. I mean, hey, 3-3. All right.
Hey,
Whatever.
they play the Jazz tonight, baby. They're losing.
Have the Jazz won a game.
Nope, 0-6. Worst 5-game stretch in franchise history.
Hey, that's fire.
But-
That's fire. But
Well,
the city of Chicago. I mean, what are the Sky good? Like, I think the Sky
They won
are
a
okay,
championship.
right? They got Angel Reese, right? Like, I mean, good Lord, what is going on in Chicago? So,
Yeah, but
they got to get rid of the bean. That's it.
yeah, that's
Get
what
rid
it
of
is.
the bean. Yeah,
Tanner, quick. I know James. This is just on the spot. Tanner, gun to your head right now. College basketball starts tonight. Who's going to the Final Four?
Purdue Boilermakers.
Who else? There's 3 other teams.
yeah, it's just dumb.
I would say Purdue and Bama. I actually like Duke this year. I hate to say it, I like Duke. I'm gonna roll Baylor too.
Yeah, I like Baylor.
I think it's gonna be a Final Four that features Bama and just because they have studs everywhere, and then Duke just because they have studs everywhere. And I think we're gonna get 2 of the best coaches in college basketball in the Final Four this year, with Drew and Painter.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We're going to have an entire college basketball episode coming
And
up soon.
Purdue actually just unveiled their Final Four banner, and I'm ready to do it again. I'm so
Oh,
ready.
sweet, Tanner. I'm sorry. I hope you were able to
No,
see
we're
it.
good. We're good.
Anyway,
Here.
I do want to say my Final Four real quick because the team that's playing better tonight, Gonzaga, will be in the Final Four. I love their team. I agree with you on Duke. I think Kansas, might have the best first 9 players in the country. I mean, the way that they rebounded in the portal, and they might have the best player in the country with Dickinson. And so I'll take Gonzaga, Duke, Kansas, and then it's always like a wild card. I'm leaning Iowa State because you guys, I know I love teams that guard, and almost no one guards better than Iowa State. So one of like Iowa State or Houston will go on. So those are my predictions. James, you said you haven't freshened up enough. Do you have a Final Four that you want to?
I'm right. I can talk college basketball whenever, but yeah, my Final Four. We're gonna go Bama. Wow, incredible. UConn, don't sleep on them. They're incredibly coached. You got to put the Huskies up there. Duke,
Yeah.
I hate to say it as well. Kansas, we got to get a couple blue bloods in there. Those are the Final Four. Not gonna say U of I, but Tanner, there's no chance in hell Purdue makes it to the Final Four.
I think you're absolutely crazy. Matt Painter's the best coach
No,
in the country. He has some legit guards.
Is Fletcher Loyer still on the team?
I'm ready for it. Yeah, he's on the
Fletcher
team.
Loyer, I'm not saying
Okay.
Fletcher Loyer is a legit guard. I think they have 3 other guys who are legit guards.
I tell you what,
Purdue's gonna be very good. I just like banter and whatever.
Indiana, they got the Rice guy from Washington State. That he was one of my favorite portal pickups in all of college basketball. I love watching him watch last year. It's going to be fun. The SEC is going to be a battle too. So it's freaking.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not saying this just because I'm a Purdue fan, but Mike Woodson can't coach a team, and Indiana never lives up to expectations. They're gonna miss the tournament again. So
I never said that they were going to be good. I said I love that portal pickup. I think
I like him too. He's a good player.
He's a good player. And then I almost want to put UConn in my Final Four because I think Dan Hurley's the best coach in the country right now. I think Matt Painter is very well up there, but until they prove me otherwise, man, UConn just runs such beautiful sets.
That's
and
unreal.
as the head coach of a fake AAU team, nothing puts a smile on my face more than Dan Hurley's sets.
Yeah,
But
Johnny's
anyway,
team
we'll wrap
actually
it there.
Johnny's team actually runs the UConn offense. That's okay.
I don't even know what we run. But we'll wrap it there. We went a few minutes over than we wanted to. But if you guys made it this far, like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you guys next time.
See See ya.
Peace.